So in this video, we're going to be going over what is the best low recoil long range weapon that is inside Warzone now that the KRIG 6 has taken a hard nerf. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra content over there as well as gameplay content. So like I said, the overall theme of this video is to find out what is the best low recoil long range assault rifle inside Warzone now that the KRIG has taken like such a hard nerf. Because as you can see here in the patch notes, it's got a maximum damage that's been decreased. It's got a mid damage which now has 3 damage drop off points, as you can see stated right here. It's actually got 3 damage drop off points now. And then the minimum damage is reduced from 25 to 23, and they actually smoothed out the recoil a little bit on this weapon as well, so they've made the recoil a little bit easier to control, but overall changed the fundamental damage profile of this gun. Now that extra damage drop off takes into effect at about 100 meters now. So the first thing I want to show you is the True Game Data website, and right next to that what you'll see is the new damage profile for every shot location on the body at every range. So the first column will be the first damage drop off point. The second column is the middle damage drop off point now, and then the last column is the final damage drop off point, which is what you're seeing on the left hand side of the screen. And then obviously in the middle right here is the True Game Data website as well. So as you can see, there's only currently 2 damage drop off points right here, but like I said, you'll see what the new values are on the very left. So as you can see, they significantly changed the overall damage profile of this gun. So as you can see, at close range, the base damage is 29 instead of 30, what it used to be before, but that also impacts the rest of the damage profile as well. So it impacts your chest shots, your neck shots, and your head shots. So it actually impacts the overall damage profile. Then the second damage drop off point is still the second damage drop off point, so that's not changed at all, so that's exactly the same. But that third damage drop off point now has a headshot damage of 35, a neck shot damage of 31, a chest shot damage of 25, stomach shot damage of 23, and extremities at 23 as well. So as you can see, you are getting a lot less damage once you get past that 100 meter mark. So of course, with the damage profile changing, the TTKs will need to change as well for this gun. So on screen just now, you will see the chest shot only TTK for all of these weapons. Now I do want to point out this is chest shots only. Now at longer ranges, you will be landing some extremity shots, you will be landing some headshots, and that is why I gave you the overall damage profile for this gun earlier on as well. But like I said, this is the best way I can compare all of these weapons for you. So as you can see, for chest shots only, the KRIG at close range performs well, but all of these guns do perform okay at close range. They are assault rifles. They're not really made for this close range distance anyway. They're made for the long range engagements. And as you can see, if you do land only chest shots, the KRIG does have an 828. Like I said, at that extra damage drop off point, you're not really going to be getting this 8 to 8 millisecond TTK because, like I said, you will be landing extremities, for example. Then the Kilo is just terrible, to be completely honest. It's not even as consistent as the KRIG, so there's no real reason to use the Kilo in this game in my opinion, and the damage drop off point will be earlier than what it is with the KRIG. The Grau performs quite consistently over range, and that's because it does have the same TTK. The QBZ has the best TTKs out of every single weapon on this list, and I do believe this might be the new long range TTK king. And then we've got the M13, which I do believe is still a pretty solid weapon as well. I do think this is actually slightly better than every other weapon other than the QBZ when it comes to TTK. So that isn't all I wanted to take a look at when it comes to the TTKs of these weapons. I did want to also look at landing headshots. So if you do land one single headshot at those longer distances, what kind of TTK will you get then? So on screen just now, you will see these damaged TTKs, and as you can see, the KRIG's at the top. In that mid damage drop off point, you do get a slightly faster TTK with the KRIG, but at those longer ranges, it doesn't matter if you land one headshot, you'll still get the same TTK. Then with the Kilo, it's still terrible, to be completely honest. Whether it's the mid damage drop off or the longer damage points, it doesn't really make a difference. This gun has a really slow TTK and it requires a lot of bullets to kill an enemy. The Grau does perform a little bit better than before, especially at those longer distances. So if you do land one headshot with the Grau, you actually will get a pretty competitive TTK with this gun, and that is why it still feels pretty decent at those longer ranges, because the way the recoil is and the way this gun performs, you will be able to land one headshot pretty easily. The QBZ still has the same TTK, and that is because it does output the most damage out of all these guns right here. So you still will get that 707 millisecond TTK at those longer ranges. And then again with the M13, if you do land one single headshot with this gun, you do get a pretty competitive TTK with this gun also. So the Grau and the M13 do perform pretty well when you do land one single headshot. So now what we're going to do after going over all TTK values, compare all the meta builds for these weapons now for recoil as well. So if you do want to see all the builds, I'm just going to flash them up quickly on screen just now. But you should all know what the meta builds for these weapons are by now. Okay, so we can't test and plunder anymore. We can only test in this new clash game mode, and we're going to test at about 20 meters. We've got the KRIG as well as the Kilo right here, and then we'll obviously test the other weapons as well. But what I want to do is only test 30 rounds, just in case this fires off the wall. So we'll test 30 rounds for both weapons. So we'll test the KRIG first. So that's pretty much no recoil. They definitely feel like they've smoothed that out, to be completely honest. We'll do the KRIG as well, Kilo. So as you can see, both of these guns have very, very little recoil, especially with only firing 30 rounds. If you do fire the full 60 rounds, you kind of get this chart right here. But as you can see, there's not a lot of recoil with either of these weapons. So we're back now, going to do the exact same test with the QBZ. Fire off. So we've only got 30 rounds. 29 is very similar. And the M13 as well. So let's do the M13 first. As you can see, the M13 has pretty low recoil as well. And then the QBZ. So the QBZ, even though it does output the most damage, does have the most vertical recoil out of all of these. As you can see, these all are clustered down here together, quite small. And that's firing only 30 rounds, whereas the QBZ does have the most vertical recoil, which you need to control. And last but not least, the last weapon we need to test here is the Grau. Now, again, we're going to fire off, so we've only got 30 rounds. And we're going to fire the Grau into the wall as well. And as you can see, the Grau does have a little bit more of that vertical recoil, just similar to the QBZ as well. So as you can see, when it comes to recoil, the KRIG, the Kilo, and also the M13 have very low recoil, whereas the Grau and the QBZ do have a little bit more vertical recoil. So after comparing all of these weapons, I've narrowed it down to these two guns right here, which is the QBZ as well as the M13. Now, the reason why the M13 has made it to the top two is because it's overall the most consistent. Now, it's got very low recoil, which all these guns kind of have, but it also, if you land a headshot, you will get a consistent and competitive TTK with this gun. You only need to land one headshot at long range, which is very easy to do with guns like this. So that is why the M13 is a little bit of a better option than the KRIG. Plus, it doesn't have that third damage drop-off point, so you will feel like the TTK is consistent all the time. And then we have the QBZ for the sheer fact that it does have the faster TTK of all of the weapon options here. And it does have the faster TTK, but also does have the highest recoil as well out of all of the options. But I would choose the QBZ over the Grau, for example, because they both have very similar vertical recoil if you do fire off 30 bullets like we did in the video. But you do get the faster TTK with the QBZ, so you are going to get a higher reward with this weapon. Now, overall, the best builds I will show you on screen just now. So for the QBZ is the Agency Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, because they did change the barrel attachments on the Cold War guns as well, and these don't help nearly as much with recoil as they did before. So you will get a little bit more recoil on your Cold War guns now, so you definitely need to make sure you're going for the Task Force Barrel, then the Field Agent Underbarrel, then the STANAG 60 round drum, because they have nerfed the fast mags, and then the Axial 3x optic. Then for the M13 is the standard build, Mono Suppressor, Tempest Marksman Barrel, Commando foregrip, 60 round mags, and VLK optic. So there we have it. Those are the top two best low recoil long range weapons inside Warzone after the update. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as I try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra content over there as well, and thank you very much for watching.